Please like, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Thank you.
Now, let's get this show on the road!
Welcome, adventurers, to Sethekk Halls. If Mana Tombs was a purple rave and Auchindoun Crypts was a haunted cathedral, then Sethekk Halls is basically a bird sanctuary gone horribly wrong. Full of Arakkoa shadowy bird men with questionable fashion choices, this dungeon is where curses fly. Feathers molt and druids pray to Anzu for that elusive raven lord mount, getting Terokkar hub again. Same big crater. Look for the entrance with feathery motifs and statues of angry birds. Not the mobile game, the original Angry Birds, the Arakkoa. Lore-wise, the Arakkoa came here after Auchindoun's explosion, claiming part of the ruins for their shadow magic rituals. Spoiler, they're not great hosts. The Sethekk Halls is all about Arakkoa's spookiness. Imagine dark stone hallways, bird idols and feather decorations. Echoing chants from the Arakkoa cultists. It feels less like a crypt and more like a cursed temple run by birds who never got over not being invited to the Burning Crusade launch party. Trash packs, birds with benefits and curses. The trash in Sethekk Halls was deceptively nasty, time-lost controllers. They had a mind control ability that turned your DPS into your biggest problem. Avian rippers, they swooped, they shredded, and they made tanks sweat. Prophets and diviners, these birds spammed curses and shadow bolts, making your dispeller cry. Summoned birds, because what's a bird dungeon without more birds? Trash wasn't overwhelming in numbers, but their abilities were annoying. One bad curse left unchecked, and suddenly your healer had twice the workload. The first big feathered foe is Darkweaver Scythe. He's the Arakkoa sorcerer who decided, you know what this fight needs? Elementals. Lots of them. Mechanics. Summons elementals. At set health intervals, he spawned multiple elementals: fire, frost, arcane, shadow. AoE spells, chain lightning and shadow bolts galore. Adds everywhere. DPS had to juggle boss damage with ad control. On heroic, the ads hit much harder, making the fight chaotic. It wasn't the toughest fight in BC, but it was a solid wake-up call boss. The final boss in normal runs is Talon King Ikiss, flamboyant feather overlord of Sethekk. Mechanics, arcane explosion, his signature move. He'd blink to the middle of the room, start channeling, and if you didn't hide behind a pillar, boom wipe. Polymorph, he'd sheep random players, just to spice things up. Arcane missiles, because why not? Ikiss was infamous for his pillar mechanic. Half of your run time was just shouting hide. Hide! As everyone scrambled behind pillars like frightened pigeons. In heroic, failing to do this was instant group deletion. Now, here's where Sethekk Halls got legendary. Anzu, the Raven God, added in a later patch. Anzu was a heroic-only druid summoned boss tied to their epic flying mount quest. Druids could summon him with a special idol, and defeating him dropped the highly coveted reins of the Raven Lord. This mount was unique, a ground-only Raven mount. Sleek, black, and absolutely the flex of Burning Crusade for years. Druids were the only ones who could even attempt it. Later, Blizzard opened the farm to everyone, and Sethekk Halls became the mount grind destination. Heroic Sethekk Halls wasn't the hardest heroic, but it had its moments. Trash mobs hit much harder and mind controls were lethal. Darkweaver Scythe's elementals became mini nukes if ignored. Ikiss arcane explosion one-shot groups who didn't pillar dance properly. And of course Anzu, whose mechanics included fears, stuns, and bird ads, made heroic runs tense even for geared groups. Still, players ran it endlessly because Burning Crusade nostalgia nuggets. The Mount Farm. Even today, Sethekk Halls is synonymous with the Raven Lord grind. People ran it weekly, monthly, yearly. Some got it in 5 runs, others in 500. The Pillar Shuffle. Ikiss taught an entire generation of players how to line of sight mechanics. He was basically a feathery PvP tutorial. Questing druids. Back in BC, only druids had access to Anzu's summoning. Non-druids could only watch in jealousy. Arakkoa lore. This was one of the first deep dives into Arakkoa culture, setting up their return in Warlords of Draenor years later. Wrap up so that Sethekk Halls, home of curses, mind controls, pillar dancing, and one of the most coveted mounts in WoW history. It wasn't the hardest dungeon. It wasn't the longest, but it was definitely one of the most memorable. For some players, it was a nightmare of wipes. For others, it was a daily pilgrimage for years until that glorious Raven Lord finally dropped. If you like birds, magic, and a side of RNG torture, this is your haul.